Good afternoon, my name is Deniell Veshi, and this is my Go See It project on Owens Supply Company. Now, Owens Supply Company has been in business for 15 years and is the lead rebar manufacturer and concrete supplier in Midwest area. Owens Supply is family-owned limited liability company which focuses on fabricating rebar and providing support for concrete material all around Midwest. It focuses on creating micropiles and caissons for foundations. Owens Supply warehouse, we can find multiple concrete accessories which is used on day-to-day basis by concrete contractors. Owens Supply stores these items in order to fulfill all its customer needs at the short time notice. Back of its warehouse, we'll find heavy equipment which is used to fabricate rebar, such as this RMS shear machine which is used to cut down rebar to length, RMS bending machine which is used to bend the rebar per order, and lastly an RMS spiral which produces the rebar spiral. Also, if we notice in the back of the warehouse, we'll find a total of 12 forklifts which are used to move material around inside and outside the warehouse. And lastly, in order for Owens Supply to deliver its material to the customers, it owns a total of 8 trucks, 4 flatbeds, and 4 semi-trucks. And now I got a pleasure to sit with one of the owners of Owens Supply, Paul Owens, who is going to be able to answer some of the questions regarding property, plant, and equipment. So Paul, in accounting classes, we are learning about property, plant, and equipment. Could you explain how this relates to Owens Supply?
Well, the equipment and the costs of those assets that are used to run a business are pretty important. All the people in the organization are interested in them to be used for the work that they do. A rolling stock, like the trucks and cars that are used in delivery and travel in the business, are allocated to those that need them on a first come, first served basis, unless there's a conflict, and then we resolve that by looking at the business opportunity that's at stake, and the most profitable opportunities get first choices on the allocation of the assets. We have production machines in the plant and handling equipment for moving materials. Those are all worked out in about the same way.
Thank you. And what are some of the most significant equipment costs in order to do this type of business?
Well, as I mentioned, the rolling stock, which would be trucks and trailers and handling material, fork trucks and cranes, and production machinery, in our case, fabrication machinery, welders, cutters, benders.
And so how do you make sure that you keep the records of maintaining and upkeeping of those equipment?
Well, if you're talking about maintenance, that's a responsibility of management to make sure that they're inspected on a regular basis and report back any issues and problems that they might have, so that we can keep them properly maintained and functioning both productively and safely.
And in Owens Supply, what type of depreciation method do you use?
We're on LIFO, which is last in, first out. For us, it's not really a big issue whether we choose FIFO or LIFO, because prices don't change dramatically or quickly in our business too much. So it really isn't a great concern for us.
Yeah, thank you. And last question is, would it be more likely for Owens Supply to sell the old equipment at the end of its use, or is it promptly retired and disposed of?
Well, 2 issues there. If the equipment is completely depreciated but yet still functioning very well, it hasn't been really overutilized. If it still has more than 50-60% of its life left in it, we'll continue to use it. Unless, of course, we have a profitable year where we need to take advantage of the Section 179 deduction opportunities on our tax return, and then we would replace it with a new asset, even though it was still useful.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate your time.